rained every day except for, I think, 10 days, and the temperature was below freezing on those days, so really foul conditions. The trenches are too deep because British soldiers were taller, so they couldn't fire properly out of the trenches. They'd not come across aeroplanes, poison gas, hand grenades, flamethrowers, all sorts of vile sort of weaponry was thrown against them, and also by huge numbers of Germans attacking them in the trenches. And not once did any Gurkha regiment, any Gurkha battalion falter or run away. They always stayed firm, stayed rigid and loyal, and did the task that was asked of them. An incredible feat. Here they are, Battle of Neuve-Chapelle, the anniversary coming up in March. By the end of November 1915, Gurkhas are withdrawn from northern France, but not before the first Gurkha is awarded the Victoria Cross. So up until 1911, Gurkha soldiery was ineligible to win the Victoria Cross. It was only British officers to be awarded that medal. But 1911, Gurkhas become eligible for the award. And Kulbir Thapa, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Gurkha Rifles, wins the award on the night of 25th, 26th of September 1915. He leaves the Allied lines in an attack with his section towards the Germans. All the other Gurkhas in his section are either killed or wounded. He finds himself at the German front line. He crosses the line and finds a wounded soldier of the Leicestershire Regiment. He then stays with that wounded soldier throughout the rest of the day until it's night time. He then brings the wounded Leicestershire man back across the German lines, puts him in a place of relative safety. He spotted 2 Gurkhas who were wounded also in the same attack. He goes back, collects them, takes them back to the British lines. By now it's daylight, the mist's risen, the sun's shining, and he goes out in full sight of the Germans being fired on by automatic fire, picks up the Leicestershire man and returns back and saves his life. And for that he wins the Victoria Cross. Having been removed from northwest France, Gurkhas are then used in Gallipoli. And once again, we have the steep hill, Sari Bear at Gallipoli, where 6th Gurkha Rifles are the only troops, the only Allied troops to make it up onto the high ground overlooking the Turkish defences. But sadly, having got to the top, friendly fire and shelling meant that they had to withdraw. But as I say, Gurkhas used effectively at Gallipoli to the heights of Sari Bear, the only troops to have achieved anything worthwhile. And the Commander-in-Chief comments that if he'd had more Gurkhas, Gallipoli would have been a success rather than the disaster it was. Gurkhas are used in Palestine, Iraq. This is the Kut el Amara, where there was a famous siege. Palestine. Gurkhas used extensively, and again another Victoria Cross is won to Karam Bahadur Thapa, 3rd Gurkha Rifles again in Palestine. End of the First World War, and numbers of the brigade go back down to peacetime levels, and they go back to fighting on the northwest frontier. 3rd Afghan War, 1919. So we've had 3 Afghan wars, and then of course there's the 4th that's just still going on. So there we are, northwest frontier, and then along comes 2nd World War, 1939. Gurkha recruitment goes back up again, so now we're up to about 125,000 Gurkhas serving, and they're used all around the world. Here they are in North Africa, where another Victoria Cross is won in a night attack, a silent night attack up the hills, up the slopes of Wadi Akarit. And again, the Gurkhas used very effectively. Italy, and another hill, yet another hill, Hangman's Hill at Cassino, which, if anyone has been to Cassino, is a 1st 9th Gurkha Rifles managed to make it to the top, but don't have any support from the attacking battalions with them, because they're the only ones that made it up there. So they stay up there for about 10 days and then they are forced to withdraw because they can't hold on any longer. Versatile troops, so not only are they fighting on rocky, barren hills, but they're also fighting in built-up areas. Here they are at Medicina, 6th Gurkha Rifles, fighting with 14th, 20th Hussars. More hills, this time in Burma. So in the Burma campaign, Gurkhas of the 17th Indian Division fight all the way back from the fall of the Sitang Bridge in 1942, all the way back up through Burma into northern India, where at Imphal and Kohima there's amazing defensive sieges, and then slowly the Japanese are beaten back down through Burma to Mandalay and to Rangoon. And this is Mandalay Hill, where Gurkhas 4th Battalion, 4th Gurkha Rifles are used to storm the heights of Mandalay Hill. End of the Second World War, and you have a huge change in the Gurkha Brigade because you have the independence of India. So in 1947, India becomes independent, and India wants to keep its Gurkha regiments because they're in the Indian Army, and the British say, well, we would like the Gurkha regiments because, you know, it's because of our relationship with them that they come to be in the Indian Army, and we recognise them as being really good troops, and we want them in the British Army. So they came to the arrangement where 4 Gurkha regiments would go to the British, which was 2nd, 6th, 7th and 10th Gurkha Rifles, and 6, which are the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th, 9th Gurkha Rifles, stayed in the Indian Army. And the 4 that came to Britain are now part of the Royal Gurkha Rifles, and the 6 that stayed in India still all exist, and there's about 55,000 Indian Army Gurkhas in their army. At the same time, 1948, you start to have the decision to create a Gurkha division of all arms. So you have Gurkha Signals formed in 1948, Gurkha Engineers, elements of Gurkha Engineers formed, and in 1958 you have Gurkha Army Service Corps